Hey, what's going on, everybody? Dick Burns here. So, me and Willoughby's wanted to make this video. Unfortunately, Willoughby's got an adult job, and she's a full-time teacher now, so that is why you haven't been seeing so much content from us, which, unfortunate for content-wise, very fortunate for normal life-wise. So, let's start this video with something funny, which is me as Beast. A couple years ago, both of my girls were Belle, I was Beast. And the reason I'm showing you this old photo is because we wanted to go into a little bit of background story, like our journey through Disney Lorcana. And that journey basically started together. Funny enough, we met when the game was brand new, and we would see each other at locals. We became friends, and now we are where we are today. So I'm going to actually start with something a little controversial because it's what prompted me to want to make this video today, to go over a little bit of backstory about me. As my friend Tommy Williams says, the dick lore is crazy. He says it to me all the time. So here's your little thing that you can make fun of me for, make memes about me, whatever. It's all good. My girls had a great Halloween that time. So it's actually going to start with a tweet from Braden. And he's actually deleted the tweet. I've deleted the tweet. If you need it for context or for calling me out or for context of the QT, I screenshot it. I also screenshotted it, so I didn't need it. But here we go. And the reason that this even came across me at all was a few people sent it to me saying that they thought I was called out specifically, which feels a little true. Let's see. If I see a branded mat, I just assume people are getting paid to advertise a store or brand and move along. Good example is the Luxury Gaming Group or TFM. So when you think of luxury games and TFM, I don't know if there's another person on earth you can think of other than me. I am the only person who was co-branded to both of them. Honestly, I don't even really care about this, but it was something that prompted this video, so I wanted to bring it up. And we're going to actually just going to the backstory of me. So this is my first top eight in a significant event in Disney Lorcana. Leading up to this, I had been playtesting with the Florida crew, everyone at Coliseum Comics, everyone at Manny's house, and Manny was trying to help me get onto Luxury Games. He was currently signed at Luxury Games. So uh, I knew I needed to go somewhere and have like a really big coming out into the game. So I drove from Florida to Hartford with my wife and kids. I told my wife I was extremely confident that I would top eight these events and that it would be well worth the investment that I put into the gas, the time, all that stuff. So that's what I did. I went and I bet on myself. And up until this point, I had actually got my deck list from my friend Jake, who's now part of Rebirth TCG. And that brings us to the first sponsor. If you saw my video, we'll get into this, but if you saw my video, this brings us to the first sponsor, which was 95 Game Center, which is run by my friend Ryan McKinney. I've been friends with him since I was a teenager, like early teens, maybe even 12. And so I had made top eight. I walked over to him, said, "Hey, do you want to give me a hoodie? I'll wear it in top eight. Try to get some exposure." Something that I have always believed in is once you achieve something, once you go up the next step, you turn around and you pull anyone you can with you. And, I'm nothing as far as 95 Game Center is concerned. They're a successful store. You see them at all the SCGs. You now see them at all the DLCs, and I would love it if you went and supported them. Maybe even tell them I sent you, just so that they feel like giving me this hoodie was worth the effort. So this was just me looking around the room, being like, who can I pull in with me for any small amount of notoriety? And funny enough, this probably got like a decent amount of traction because of my name. I remember getting this photo sent to me on Facebook and on Twitter and stuff like that, of just like, this isn't your real name, stuff like that. So like, Dan argues this with me, and I say I would be nowhere without my name. It has to be true because like we have some all stars in here, right? But like, I feel like I stuck out as a sore thumb, just like a sore thumb, just from my name. So this was the first time that I had gotten something in return for displaying it in the top 8. And I wear it in my everyday life. This is my nephew, Elijah. Hey, Elijah. Uh, and I like, yeah, I didn't just like throw the hoodie away. You know what I mean? It's like I still advertise for them in my everyday life. Like on the back of the hoodie is the information to their store. I used to wear a hoodie from the comic book store everywhere I went. Another sponsor. So I used to wear a hoodie from the comic book store, but it was good for the comic book store. It wasn't great for me leaving my house every single day, getting swamped by people asking me if I buy comic books, and then I would send them to the comic book store. So we'll talk a little bit more about them later. Let's see. And then we are in our next top 8 with Nick, the owner of Luxury Gaming. And this was the very next day. So I top 8'd Saturday. This was Sunday. And funny enough, it was my idea to hold up the playmats. I specifically like said to Nick, "Yo, grab your playmat. Let's hold up the playmats." We were like kind of put in a position where I was gonna have to be in the front of the photo. And let's see, hopefully, yep, I have the tabs lined up correctly. And I'm gonna be honest, I was very uncomfortable with that. And you're going to see why from the next tab. And this is just going to be very candid. And I'm sure I'm going to get negative comments about it. But, oh well. If anything, I am typically very honest. So, I, at this point, had joined luxury gaming. I, at this point, had been paid nothing and was not expecting to get paid anything for this top 8. And I was very appreciative towards them for having me on the team, and I wanted to display it. And I also wanted to cover myself up in the photo. So for those that have not been friends with me for this entire period of my life, I was actually kicked out of my house in New Jersey because the owners of the house sold the house. And so we were given letters saying that, the house is sold. We have 30 days to leave. Otherwise, we could like fight it in court. Wasn't worth the effort. We decided we never wanted to be in that situation again. So we left New Jersey, but we did not know where we wanted to go. So we actually spent a, a year, maybe more than a year, looking in different states and seeing where we wanted to plant ourselves for a while. In that time, we were living in hotels and Airbnbs, just like short-term things. Typically, no oven, typically nothing like that. I love the gym. I absolutely love the gym. I don't want to leave the wife and kids though in a hotel room so I can go to the gym, stuff like that. So I wasn't going to the gym. We weren't eating well, especially when we were driving, from state to state in multiple days. We were just eating fast food, and I actually put on 100 pounds, which is very embarrassing. And I know it's all excuses at the end of the day. I was just too lazy from the house hunting and all that stuff to put in the work. And this is what I get for it. So, yeah, this is what I was walking around at before starting to play Lorcana again. And like, this is comparable to what I am now. This is actually what I was like 10 years ago. And I had gotten down to this. So, I have no fear that I'm going to get back down to it, but I print every photo that's ever taken with me of me. I put them in photo albums. I'm very meticulous about it, in fact. And I want, like, I enjoy going through my family photo albums. I want my kids to also enjoy that. So I have maybe 10,000 photos printed, and I kind of just don't want them to see me in this very unhealthy state. So the playmat was a really good way of covering that up, oddly enough, and was the only reason that I even thought of it. Not that it's out of the ordinary. Other people do it as well. Other people have done it before me. People do it when I'm dead. But that's how that started. And yeah, since being in my actual home now, I've lost about 20 pounds. So I have no fear that I will not get back to this. I actually tore my rotator cuff though. I cannot lift my arm away from my body, so that's really messing with the gym time. And now we're on our next top 8 photo. And again, I'm crouching down. I didn't have to be, but let's be honest, if you know me, I love being the center of attention. So again, a good way to cover up my fat belly. I'm already wearing the luxury hoodie. I have no need to have this playmat in front of me except for to hide my body in some way. So that's that. And then we're going to get to the next point in time is I actually get an interview with Dan from the Forbidden Mountain. I was not on the Forbidden Mountain yet. I had become friends with them. I had actually acquired this by beating Dan. I beat him so bad I took his playmat. There's nothing you can do about it. He went to get up from the table. I snatched it and I said, "Get good, nerd. That's mine now." Yeah. So, for anyone who hasn't seen this video yet, which is a lot of people, which is shocking, I feel like I've met more than 2,000 people who have said that they've seen the interview. But this is a good way to get to know me, get to know my sense of humor. I feel like this video, well, I don't feel like this video was very much so in character. You can see the 95 Game Center, you can see the comic book store sticker, which this sticker is actually on my car as well. So anytime I get gas in New Jersey, people see the comic book store sticker, and they, more often than not, it feels, ask me, "Oh, do you buy comic books?" And I direct them towards the comic book store. And this is also where you're going to see the Phenomenal Games cup right here. Yeah, so I knew I was doing this interview. Obviously, I didn't just like show up one day and I'm doing the interview. I was invited over to do this interview. And again, I felt like I'm going up another step. Who can I bring along with me? So I went to Phenomenal Games, which is a store in New Jersey. And I had gone there to try to attend locals, and one of my old friends owned it. Okay. And no one showed up for locals. And he had told me that no one had ever shown up for locals, unfortunately. And I was like, okay, give me anything that has your store on it. Give me anything, and that's payment for a sponsorship. And I will be sure to mention you in a video, and we will see if we can get locals to fire. So it gave me the water bottle. I mentioned it in the video, and guess what? They have a thriving locals now weekly, which is great. The family that I had helped, Carolyn and her crew, they've been going there weekly. Sean's been going there. That's someone who you've seen in the chat if you've watched our TFM gameplay videos live. So that worked out phenomenally, I should say. And I also showed off Top Deck Games shirt. So I've known the owners of Top Deck Games since I was about 9 years old. And I had actually worked for them doing shows and stuff like that. When I was a teenager, what I did for a living was traveled all over the country working Grand Prix and stuff like that. And for especially when I was a teenager, it was tremendous money. I was very fortunate. I have always had the brain where I can just, if I'm passionate about something, I have to know everything about it. So I knew Top Deck Games' entire buy lists for every single Magic card in existence off the top of my head, unless it was foil. I couldn't wrap my brain around why foils were worth so much more at that age. So yeah, Top Deck Games, I went in there and I was like, hey, give me anything. I want to shout you guys out. And then the comic book store, as we've seen here, as we've already talked about, the comic book store has been a very good sponsor of mine for over a decade. Like, without any jokes whatsoever. They do not give me money. Okay. What I have with the comic book store, and I would support them because I love everyone there. I love Al. I love Kevin, McGee, my man. Um, Headley. I love everyone there. And I would support their business as much as I could if they gave me nothing. But what they usually end up giving me is if I want to play in an event, typically Magic, and I own nothing. I've owned zero Magic cards for about 20 years and I'm 36. They will get that deck for me and I can borrow it, and that saves me a tremendous amount of money. So even though they're not actually giving me like tangible money, they are giving me theoretical money. And it's one of my best sponsorships. And again, like I would support them no matter what. So I appreciate them greatly. So yeah, if you have the time, go watch this interview. It got demonetized because of my name. They tried changing the title and but stick stuff like that. So yeah, go leave a comment or something. It would be awesome to see. And then I just wanted to talk about some of the stores that were in here. I went over a little bit. This is the comic book store. You can buy singles from them. They have Lorcana, Pokemon, Magic, most of the top games. And then they have a weekly schedule. So go check out the comic book store. Top Deck Games. I believe this is the largest store in New Jersey. It's at least the largest one I've ever been to. And this is where I go to Tuesday night locals with Silverman and Marcus, Rob, all them, and then like we go out and have degenerate dinner afterwards. And they also have Sunday locals, which is very casual, but it draws in a tremendous amount of people. So this is their store. You can see very clean, very large, awesome store to go to. And then you may be more familiar with them as Card Titan because online on eBay, TCG Player, all that stuff, they are Card Titan and they are a Titan in cards. And then we have Phenomenal Games. Uh, so Phenomenal Games does have Lorcana Thursdays, this says. I believe they might have changed it and they might not have updated their website. So go hit them up on their socials and message them if you're interested in going. And here's the address. And if you do go, make sure you tell them I sent you. I get nothing for it, but I want them to know that it wasn't like meaningless, that I shouted them out and that they trusted me. This goes for all these companies, that they trust me with their brand is huge. It's like mind blowing to me. And then here's Coliseum Comics in Kissimmee. This is what their store looks like. It's massive. Here's their displays of singles. They have seating for like 60 players. And then sometimes people have to play at the Warhammer tables because the store is that full. So if you're on vacation around Disney World, I suggest you come here. And they have their schedule and everything on here. Lorcana is on Thursdays. They did have drafts on Wednesdays. I don't know if they got rid of that or if this has not been updated. But yeah, go check out Coliseum Comics and Kissimmee. I get nothing from them, so they're not like a true sponsor. However, they did ask me, like they did inquire with me about a sponsorship, and I'm just like, here's the thing, I'm out of space. I actually went to Gilded Dragon last night. It's my first time meeting the owner, and he was also talking to me about sponsorships. And yeah, I told them I have to wear the TFM jersey. I'd prefer not to wear a hat because I feel like my hair sticks out really well at events. Like my teammates tell me, I always know where you are because of your hair, and that's very helpful. And I have a playmat. We'll be getting to it. I have a playmat that I have to use at all events now because of a sponsorship. And now's probably a good time also to go over my luxury gaming playmat collection. So this was the basic one. It's 2-player playmat. It folds out. It's also cloth, which is nice. You can fold it up to nothing. It doesn't get wrinkled or anything like that. Let's toss that over there. And all of these are very important to me. All of this stuff. At some point, I just moved into my house. At some point, I really want to get everything framed with photos of me holding it in the top 8, just so I can hang it like in my kid's bedroom. I'm doing the same thing with the stitches that I won. I don't have the originals anymore, but I did buy copies of them, and I'm gonna like you could tell that they are copies of them, so I'm not trying to pass them off as real, but they're gonna go in a shadow box with photos of me holding the real ones. And then this was actually the next playmat that I got from them, and I was the first person to ever get this playmat. It's their Alice themed playmat at metamats.com. TFM5 is the code for 5% off. And this was very important to me because my youngest daughter's name is Alice, and she was actually named after Alice in Wonderland. So I felt very honored that I got that playmat. And again, like when I see photos of myself holding them up, it makes me feel good. And I think that's like a really big deal. Like when I held up luxury mats or when I wore my luxury hoodie in events, I can look back at like SCG Philadelphia. I'm wearing my luxury stuff. I'm holding my luxury thing. It's like, thank you, Nick, for trusting me with your brand. Thank you, Ferenti, for giving me the deck lists. Yeah, like when you're holding up your team's stuff, it's just like for me, it's a thank you so much for playtesting with me. Thank you so much for helping me. I'm not the only one in this top 8. Like I view TCGs aside from a few sickos out there who are just like the best of the best. I view it as a team sport, especially for me. My brain just doesn't work the way others do, and I really need the help and guidance often. So it's not just me in there. Yeah, here's just I had no idea this was happening. Nick had hired a camera crew to shadow me for the day and record me playing to get some footage. And I'm naturally just wearing comic book store pin because I support them. And then this brings me to this photo. Here's Willoughby's over here when she was part of Luxury Games. And here's me, the only nerd, holding up a playmat. Here's my friend James looking at me in such admiration. So that playmat is right here. And I haven't known how exactly to post about this because I haven't won like too big of an event with it. But I am sponsored by Dream Days in Wilson, North Carolina. And so, go check them out. And that came up very unexpectedly and very awesomely, if you ask me. So I was in Atlanta for the DLC, and that was massive. It was such an amazing time. It blew away all expectations. And I'm gonna sound like I'm tooting my own horn here. Toot toot. I was swarmed by people who knew me, and so was a lot of the players on TFM, and it was the best feeling in the world. I don't play the game because I necessarily like need the money or anything. It's not like it's like a good business plan to play a card game to make money for a living. You really need sponsorships or content or something like that typically. But I am out here for the notoriety and I'm not going to be shy about it. The fact that someone is happy to see me who has never met me before, I think is fascinating and I love it. And I am always, even still, we're 4 DLCs later. I'm about to leave for Las Vegas tomorrow. Even now, like it's still just as amazing as the first time. So in Atlanta, I had actually brought a lot of pre-signed cards with me, and it was funny because in the Airbnb, my teammates are like, "You're wasting your time. Not that many people are gonna know you." They're probably just ribbing me. And no, they were gone. They were gone. I had been talking, or I'd been in a crowd of people. I'd signed a few autographs, took a few photos with people. It was awesome. And then a woman comes up to me and was like, "Hey," I was like, "Hey, how's it going? You want a photo?" And it had just been right after a few others, but no, I wasn't even thinking it was the owner of Dream Days, and I had been there a couple times when I was house hunting. And she's like, "Dick, it's me. It's Joetta." I was like, "Oh my god, I am so sorry. I'm in the zone right now." And I gave her a hug, and then like again was just like super busy with people, so had to move on. And then I came to her store when I moved into my house for their locals, and we actually had some people buy some cards from her for me to sign, which was awesome. I felt amazing about it. But so she pulled me aside, and she had just seen how I was doing in Atlanta, like how many people wanted to talk to me and stuff like that. And this was also right after I had left Luxury Games, which was completely um what's the word? Amicable? I can't remember if that's the word or not, but I love them to death. And even I was just in New Jersey on my way back from Toronto, and I made it a point to go out of my way to stop at Luxury Games to see them. I love everyone there. It just had to do with I needed I needed to be able to playtest more than I would be able to on their team, and that's it. So she had heard that I had left them, and they offered me a sponsorship, and I was like, well, what would you like from me? What were you thinking? She's like, oh, you can just use my playmat at all events. I was like, sounds great. So now I'm sponsored by them. This was the first event, even though it was just a set champs. This was the first event I had attended while sponsored by them. So I held up the playmat. And then this brings us to this event where, again, I want to be in the front of the photo, but especially wearing this jersey. Oh my God. I feel like the biggest guy on earth. And yeah, so I want to be in the front of the photo, so I'm the center of attention. I'm already like a quarter of the photo just because of how massive I am. So this was a great way to kill two birds with one stone. Joetta was very happy that I could get her playmat out on Twitter, her playmat out, to the world, different places. And I was very happy that I could show her, like, hey, you didn't just give this to me for nothing, and I could cover up with it. So Anyway, yeah, that's everything. That's basically my entire background in Disney Lorcana. So I appreciate everybody very much. Leave a comment. Tell me, leave a comment if you have any questions about anything. I'll try to answer them. And see you later. All right, guys, you watched all the way to the end. Thank you so much for doing that. I just wanted to say I'm actually not mad at Brayden. And if anyone in the comments is flaming us for calling out what he said or whatever, direct them here because they didn't watch the whole video. He wasn't actually, I don't think he was actually saying anything bad about me or like, I think he was saying like, hey, if you're getting paid, get the bag, whatever. And I agree with that. If someone is willing to help you offset your costs for these events, go ahead and take it. Make sure that you are doing them right though. And that's all I wanted to say. I wanted to put this all the way at the end because people are gonna watch 2 minutes in and already have an opinion. So for real this time, bye.